Hey, this is Jason Motte. If you want your baseball news, listen to One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer with JJ and Vince.
Thank you for joining us. This is our spring training type thing. We got a panel. We're going to talk about the off season and where we think things are going. Very excited. Two tremendous guests, and that's balanced out by just mediocre me and JJ. But let's get the housekeeping done. Please like us on Facebook. You can contact us through one card, one cup, one beer at gmail.com. If you are watching us on the YouTube channel, please subscribe to us. Hit that subscribe button so you can have our content as soon as it drops. We'll be really excited about that. If you'd like to support our efforts, you can go to patreon.com. You search for One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer. You can find us and you can support our efforts, and that is greatly appreciated. And what is that? Oh,
It's a Reds 150th anniversary cup.
there you
I,
go.
I try to have a different cup every time. There's one person out there that always notices that.
Very good. Yeah, I didn't notice which team it was when you first had it. What
Yeah, I
is
went
it?
to a game out there, and that was their. Every year, each team has a souvenir cup, and I always try to get at least one souvenir cup from wherever I go.
Yeah, very
I'm a
good.
nerd.
We know. So
Yes, sir.
we can't all be cool like me.
Hey, I know. You just got
Cool
it or
hit
you don't.
you. If you'd like to be a guest on a panel, if you have an interesting baseball related topic that you have some knowledge of, if you'd like to be on the show, just drop us an email, reach out to us with a comment, a DM somehow. Just say, hey, I have this interesting story. I know a baseball is round. Can I be on the show? Sure. If you can get on here and prove a baseball is round, we will be happy to have you on the show because we're not quite sure what the shape of the baseball is because we're not that smart. But anyway, I do want to say you noticed on our opening, we have our first celebrity endorsement, Mr. Jason Mott. JJ, tell us how this happened because
Well,
completely surprised.
Saturday, I was excited. We have a hobby shop down in Caledonia, a boys' dream hobby shop. They had a baseball card show, about, I'd say 15 to 20 vendors. It was awesome. A good time was had by all, but the highlight was over at the card store. Jason Mott was there from 12 to 2. I went in, and it was basically Jason Mott. And he was like, hey, how good? And we talked baseball. Every card I got signed, he had a little story about. And I'll kind of, while I'm telling the story, I'll show the cards. He signed that one for me. This card in particular, I showed him, and he goes, you know what I was doing? You know where they took that picture? And I said, no. And he said, that was the one game playoff against the Atlanta Braves. And I said, oh, the infield fly roll game. He goes, yeah. And me and him just hit it off. And he said, you know, I play for the Cubs too. And I said, yeah, Vince Hopper never lets me live it down. And I said, I saw you warming up in the bullpen in a Cardinal Cub game, and you broke my heart, Jason. You broke my heart. He laughed. His brother was there. Got my picture with him, signed all my stuff. I got a ball signed by him. Just one. You know, when you meet your heroes, some of them aren't as great as you think they are. Jason Mott was everything and more. And then I kind of went up about 3 weeks before he was there and asked, hey, I'll pay money if he'll cut up a little promo for our podcast. And the guy said, I don't see a problem with that. But then when everything was going, nobody seemed to remember that. I talked to Brad Juliet, and Brad goes, let me just go talk to him. And he pointed at me and he looked and goes, yeah, sure. Came in there, didn't charge me. I wrote down what to say. I was going to write a few little jokes or something, but no, he was very nervous. I was surprised how nervous he was. He goes, okay, I'm going to do this. I got it. And then he did that. And I was on seventh heaven. I said, I can't wait to get home and send this to Vince because this will look so great having one of a Cardinal and a Cub do a little promo for us. So that was great. I have one item to show you, Vince. This is the game. If I can get it, this was when we won the 2011 World Series. And as you can see in the middle, that's Jason Mott. And he signed right by him. And he gave me the idea. He goes, why don't I sign it small? And then when you meet all the players, they can sign by their, by in the mob. Like right here's Yachty. You can see Yachty right there,
Yeah.
you know. So anyway, he signed that for me, and I was tickled to death. I got a ball, 4 cards, and that, and what a guy! And now next time we do a spotlight, I'm doing it on Jason Mott. Anytime his name comes up, I'm going to say friend of the show, and so awesome. I recommend you guys get down there because next month they're going to have Jim Edmonds, which I didn't know if he'd still be coming, but he's coming, and you know. Who knows what'll happen? Maybe Jim will be sitting next to me the day after, or who knows?
Maybe I won't be here, and it will be JJ and Jim.
Well, I like Jim, but he's no Vince Hopper.
Jim used to be a Cub too, so
that's right.
With the Cubs, so
yeah. All right. So that was a very eventful Saturday, Vince.
Well, JJ, were you as riveted by the Super Bowl as I was? I mean, it was a nail biter, and then there was kickoff.
I like the commercials, and poor Patrick Mahomes running for his life. He was running into his linemen. They were turned towards him more than they were facing the other team. I felt so bad for him running out there because he was running for his life out there. But congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles, a great team, and they deserve to win.
I thought it was amazing how the Chiefs just shut down Saquon Barkley, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
And
they made him beat him with the air, and they sure did.
I have seen every Chiefs game this year, and I'm a Chiefs fan, but it didn't bother me that they lost the Super Bowl. It really didn't. I thought the best team won, and I've kind of been quiet about my Chief fandom because I will be the first to admit they have had every break this year to get to where they are. However, that one of the first plays when it was two guys were jockeying after the ball and they called offensive pass interference. I thought, don't do that. Do not give ticky-tacky calls to either team, let alone the Chiefs. If they're going to win this game, let them win it on the field. And so the refs kind of swallowed their whistle a little bit, which I thought was good. But their offensive line was really exposed in protection. And this wasn't a Eagles team that was blitzing much. I mean, they were just 4-man rush, and Mahomes couldn't do anything. So congratulations to the Eagles. I ate good food, and that's all that I care about.
Did you have a lot of people at the house? Family?
Yes, we had me and Kathy. That's it, me and Kathy.
I went to a good friend, Dennis Rose, who watches us every week, and we watched it at his house. Our other friend wasn't feeling good, so I went over there. We got some emos. He makes this thing with cornbread and chicken noodle soup. It's our little treat. We ate that, had a good time. So that's about what we did.
Well, Saturday, my daughter Evelyn, she's dating a guy, Tony, who I really, really like. And he plays in a band called Yuppie, and they are it's alternative grunge stuff. And so we went to go watch them at Platypus, and it was kind of funny because Kathy and I were joking we're going to be the oldest people there. Well, it was like parents' night. Me and Kathy showed up. Tony's dad showed up. Got to meet him. Great guy. The bass player for the group, his parents showed up. Got to meet them. Awesome people. And the bass player is dating Evelyn's best friend. Her best friend, Vivian, her parents came too, and I've known them for a few years, so that was kind of cool. So it was like this pocket of old people watching this very loud grunge band. But man, it was fun. They were the opening set. They played about 20 minutes. And I told Kathy, you know, this is like 1995 for me going to Laclede's Landing to Kennedy's to watching the local grunge bands. It brought back a lot of memories. So had a fantastic time doing that. I don't get out much. I'm kind of a homebody, so it was kind of fun to you know, get out there and act like I'm not pushing 60 and listen to some good music. So
you know, Vince, that music of the 90s, I'll be honest, I grew up out of the 60s. That's my I just love the Motown and the rock and roll and the jam bands and everything in the 60s. 70s I liked. Didn't like disco. Disco was okay, but I didn't like it
Hated disco.
overwhelmingly. 80s was the new wave and the hair bands and all that. But I kind of poo-pooed on the 90s. And as I get older and looking back, that was a great time for music, and I didn't really appreciate it at the time as good as it was. That was a really good time. Maybe it's because in the future it didn't go as well, and the 90s were actually really good. But I kind of miss that what I would call like the point kind of music. I really that's some good stuff.
Yeah, I don't like disco. I I don't like most disco. This is going to sound strange.
Donna Summer, huh?
Donna Summer, I
Yeah.
love Donna Summer. Um, I like the Bee Gees' old stuff
Oh yeah.
from the early 70s to the mid.
Massachusetts and all
Yeah, yeah,
that. Yeah.
stuff. And I did not like them when they went disco. And what you go disco for me? But besides disco, I'm not kidding you. I can listen to any live music. I don't care if it's bluegrass, country, soul, jazz. I can listen to anything that's live. Southern gospel I can listen to. Just
Oh yeah.
anything that is live is great. And I kind of got that from my mom. My mom, she was a huge country music fan, but she always said, as long as the music's live, I really don't care what I'm listening to. And so, that's kind of how I am. And but I had heard his band stuff on Spotify, and the stuff that they had done earlier was kind of more of a college radio thing. And he told me, he said, or well, my daughter told me, she said, well, this isn't the stuff you've listened to. This is the new stuff. It's very grungy. And it was just a lot of fun to listen to. So
Fantastic. That was like a great time.
well, JJ, spring training is here for two teams, the Cubs and the Dodgers,
All
because
right.
we are both teams are getting ready for the Japanese series. It's going to be, I think, the 19th and 20th of March. So both teams get a little early start on spring training. So the Cubs started spring training on Monday, no, on Sunday. That's when pitchers and catchers report. When do Cardinals pitchers and catchers report?
The 13th, but there's already players down there. I saw some pictures today of like Jordan Walker taking some hitting, and man, he looks great. We need him. I saw some pictures, just playing some toss. They're getting down there. There was a report that Nolan Arenado was down there, but the guy who reported it was wrong. It was someone else because Nolan was out in California taking batting practice in his batting cage. So he said, "No, I'm out. I'm not out there yet." So he's due to report down there. The regular the position players I think show up Sunday and they have their first workout the following Monday. So it's happening, Vince. We're getting down. Things are starting to move on. The football's over and baseball's starting. The world is right again.
Well, I listened to the ESPN affiliate Chicago
Oh,
on iHeartRadio. So I listened to the Chicago show on Monday and this morning because I love the spring training shows. And then I was able to catch a good chunk of today the Cardinals, which show that Tim McKernan does.
TMA, I think it is.
Yeah,
The morning after.
yeah, they had a. I heard the interview with the pitcher. I could never pronounce his name. The
Palante, maybe?
No, the young guy got a really Italian name, long name. Um, and then I heard the Victor Scott the second interview.
Yes,
So
I heard that one.
that yeah, I'm just yeah. I remember when I was like in high school, um, CNN at 10 o'clock always had sports from 10 to 10:30. And I would watch that instead of the local sports because there was more of it. Local sports was like a 7-minute segment. Hey, I've got a whole half hour. Whenever they would do the spring training, um, they would, do what Major League Network does now is they do, one team for 30 days or Back then was
Yeah.
what, 28, 2016. So yeah, that's how I kind of got introduced to all the teams and how they were looking for the year. So I just love the spring training stuff. I love it. Um, and I had a guy already complaining, and he said Seiya Suzuki was lazy
What? I've never seen that.
in
I
one of
never.
my groups. And he was complaining that, well, he said Nico Horner works his ass off. Seiya doesn't work hard. So I said, listen, I answered him. I said, listen, you don't start baseball, t-ball in little league, work your way to a traveling team where you have to grind and travel all the time. You're playing high school ball, and then you're probably in the summer playing more traveling. Then you go to college, you play college ball. In the summer, what are you doing? You're on some kind of a traveling team or something. And then you go through rookie ball, high A, double A, triple A, make it to the major. You don't go that far in baseball if you're lazy. I but he
I,
did put me in my place. He answered me and he said, I played college ball.
oh,
So I
well.
answered him, maybe if you weren't so lazy, you would have made it to Major League Baseball.
Woo, man. That's
Just
a
like,
hot take.
I'm you don't get to that level in any field by being lazy. You don't. I don't care if it's sports. I don't care if you're an engineer. I don't care if you're a janitor. When you make it up to the upper echelon of your field, you didn't make it by waiting for the bus.
Vince, I will put a caveat in there. We've had players in the past, and I'm going to mention one, JD Drew, incredible talent, world class talent. But I just don't know. I think he was so talented, he never had to work for it. He never had to put that extra work in. You would always hear stories about Albert Pujols, who's as good a hitter as I've ever seen, and he'd be in there working all the time on a swing and just taking the ball the other way and doing all that work. And some people, that's kind of most players aren't above and beyond sometimes. Or you hear Ozzie would go out there, one of the greatest fielders, and he worked even harder on going with his back to the infield and being down on the ground and popping up and throwing it across the diamond. Arenado works hard, and I'm with you. To be in the major leagues and stay in the major leagues, you got to work your butt off. But I think some of them are so talented. Maybe it just comes too easy or something like that. I always like the guys that weren't really on the radar and they get up there. Eckstein, love that guy. Wasn't on the radar, walked on in college. They don't want no kid walking on. They got all the scholarships and everything, but he made it as a walk on. He got drafted. He worked his butt off, and he's my kind of player. Those guys that just, man, every play he's giving 110%. That's just, I love players like that. But yeah, I know those pros make it look so easy that I guess people at home would say, he ain't trying. My grandpa used to get mad when the Cardinals lost. Oh, they ain't trying. That's a grandpa. I'm sure they're giving everything they got.
Yeah.
But he just get mad and say that.
Oh, other news. I thought this was really cool. The Brewers have announced, it's no surprise, but they will be wearing a Bob Uecker patch this year. And I think that's a great tribute. And I think this year, and my thing that God loves the Brewers, but I think the Brewers going to rally around
Oh, that'd be
uh,
great.
Bob Uecker's passing, and I just think they're going to surprise some people. Um,
Did you hear, Vince, that the Reds are going to wear number 14 on their sleeve for Pete Rose with his
oh,
passing?
did
So
not hear.
I think it's great. It's like the Bob Uecker one. It's sort of got it's a baseball, and then it's got his name on it. But the Reds are just going to wear a round patch with 14. Well, now I don't know the number. I thought it was 14. I think it is 14.
I'm not
But
into numbers.
yeah, I can't
Dave
remember.
Kingman was number 10.
Ozzie Smith was number one. That's how I remember that. But yeah, but they'll have the Reds will have a patch too, and I think that's fantastic. That they're
Yeah.
going to honor him this year.
In transaction and signing news. Randall Grichuk signs one more year with the Diamondbacks, so he's going to stay with the
Oh,
Diamondbacks. Very good. And former Cub Trey Mancini, who did not play last year, and some would argue that 2 years ago when he was on the Cubs, he didn't play either. His skills were very diminished. Trey Mancini signed a minor league contract with the Diamondbacks, so I guess you're going to take a look at him in spring training. One of the big free agents that were still left on the board, Pete Alonso, signs with the Mets. He's got 1 year, and then there's 2 more opt-outs. So if he chooses to go the length of the contract, it would be 3 years. But there are the 2 opt-outs there. What did you think about Alonso's signing? Do you think that he's a Boris client?
I know.
Bregman's a Boris client. Bellinger was a Boris client. Nobody wants to deal with Scott Boras on his terms. And
No.
I think because of his reputation and his age now, they're like, I think major league teams, if you're a Boris client, we will sign you at the end when it's desperation time. We're not going to be putting 8 years to a guy who's only got a year and a half left in the tank. So
Yeah. I don't think people are signing those long-term contracts. There was a time when, unless it's unique situation, Otani and
Soto, yeah, stuff like that.
unique situations. But before they were throwing a little more of those out, and it bit some teams. Well, last year it seems like he drags it out. He always says, "Oh, there's another team," and he plays one team against another. Yeah. And I know Tony La Russa, when he was here, he was just fed up with Boris, and they didn't really sign Boris people. And there came a time when you almost couldn't have a team if you didn't have a Boris client because they were everywhere. But last year, the Snell and Montgomery fiasco, where they just waited almost spring training had started before these guys signed, and it hurt both of them. And now you have Alfonso, and I think the first baseman for the Mets. I think if you're getting Soto, bring him back. I like guys to stay on a team. He had a heck of a run in the playoffs, and now that middle of that lineup with Lindor and the first baseman and Soto, that's going to be kind of exciting to watch, Vince. So I'm glad he re-signed with the Mets as a baseball fan. But I'm with you. The Boris thing has kind of lost some of its shine. He does get big money for his people, but man, sometimes it just rubs everybody wrong the way it just goes on and drags on, and the players don't show up or are late to spring training, and I think it hurts everybody. So I'm glad he's back with the Mets.
And I don't blame Boris. I blame the players. You hired the guy. Tell him where you want to play. These are your parameters. And if he doesn't find it,
It's true.
Yeah, say, all right, talk to me. We'll drop our demands. The agent is supposed to work for you. And when Boris has a client, it's like they're petrified to fire him. Very few people have fired him. And the last 3-4 years we've seen he's lost his fastball, for lack of a better term. He's not getting these kind of huge deals for his clients because Pete Alonso's, how old is he? 30?
I think he's right in the middle of his career.
Yeah.
He's been around like 7 years. It seems 6-7 years.
Yeah, these players, I want 8 years, That's a bad investment. It used to be, okay, we'll pay you for that, knowing that we're going to lose money on the end of the contract. Now they're like, no, why would I do that? I don't want to pay someone to hamstring me sitting on the bench who sucks. So anyway, rant over about Boris.
Very good. I agree with you.
Outfielder Ben Gamel, who's had a decent career. He's a pretty good player to have on your team. He signed 1 year with Houston, so that's going to give them a little bit of depth. Tommy Pham, one of our favorites, 1 year with the Pirates, which means the Pirates will make the playoffs.
Yes.
Possibly the World Series, because that's what Tommy Pham does. He goes to teams, they make a playoff run. Last year, he ended up with the Royals. They made a pretty good run in the playoffs.
Yes, they did.
So, yeah. The Angels have been busy putting together their strange team, which I can't wait to watch this year.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
They signed Jan Moncada for 1 year. Moncada, who's been injured for about 3 or 4 years now, has not really had a great season for maybe since before COVID. I don't know. It's been a while. Um, he signed 1 year with the Angels, and Kenley Jansen also signed 1 year with the Angels. So I don't know what they're doing because are they going for a youth movement? I think so. And then they start signing Kyle Hendricks and Kenley Jansen and Jan Moncada and God, I can't remember all of them, but it's like it's just kind of a weird team. So uh Danny Columba, I I know how to pronounce his name, but it's not coming out right. And Harrison Bader signed 1 year with the Twins. I can say Harrison Bader with no problem. They both signed 1 year with the Twins. Columba is a middle relief pitcher. He's got some value, and Harrison Bader is probably going to be the fourth outfielder there. But Harrison Bader, you have an outfielder go down, he's going to give you Gold Glove caliber defense, and he's a streaky hitter. When he's hot, he's hot. So hopefully, if the Twins do have any injuries in the outfield, Harrison Bader will come in there. His bat will be on fire, and he'll be on the news every night. That'd be kind of cool. The Padres are busy signing the lower end free agents because their TV deal has screwed them up, and they're looking to shed payroll. They did sign Jason Hayward, Jay Hay. I did not know he'd be playing this year. And they also signed Connor Joe for 1 year contract, so giving them a little bit of outfield depth. And the evil empire out west are bringing back Kike Hernandez. And I read today that Clayton Kershaw finally signed. So that's
like they need
that.
another pitcher. Like they need another pitcher.
Oh, so yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. Woo. It's
I,
going to be tough. Even if they have injuries, they've got about 8 pitchers now that can go. My gosh.
you got anything else to add about general news?
Well, the Hall of Fame announced today, and we kind of seen this coming, but all the Hall of Famers, the uniform that they will wear on their plaques, and it's who we thought they were. I'll name the Hall of Famer, and you tell me who's the team they'll be. Dick Allen, huh? Oh, you haven't seen it, but I know you'll know. Dick Allen,
Phillies,
of course. Dave Parker,
Pirates.
yes. CC Sabathia,
Probably the Yankees.
the Yankees. Like they need another Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Let's see, Ichiro.
That would be the White Sox. Mariners.
It will be Seattle's third. I remember when they came into the league, and now they have 3 Hall of Famers. That's pretty darn cool. I thought
Ichiro, the designated hitter,
Edgar Martinez,
who's the third one?
Ken Griffey Jr.
Okay.
Yeah. But Randy Johnson, I thought was a Mariner Hall of Famer. He went as Arizona.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It was like 8 years to 6 years or something like that. It was close, and he won a World Series with Arizona, so I understand that one. And the last one, Billy Wagner.
Oh, Houston.
Yeah, Houston. So that's going to be their plaques, and the teams will represent in the Hall of Fame, and I think that's pretty darn cool. Reports Shohei Ohtani has been throwing off the mound, and so we'll see him this year, although there's talk. And Vince, what do you think about this? They're paying all these money for these pitchers. And, I remember Fergie Jenkins and Bob Gibson and Juan Marichal. These guys pitched every 5th day. It sounds like a lot of these pitchers for the Dodgers are going to go once a week. And they may have like a 6-man rotation or just kind of rotate people in and out. Like some people will pitch every 5th day, but then some of these other pitchers will only pitch maybe every 6th game or 7th game even. And they're paying big money for some of these pitchers. So that seems to be a new trend, maybe a 6-man rotation or something like that.
Yeah, I do like that with the Japanese players who are used to pitching once a week.
That's
So
true.
when you have Yamamoto and Saki, gosh, what's Sasaki, when you
Yes.
got both of them in your starting rotation, it would be less of a
Strain.
strain if you do keep up with the six-man rotation. I know Kota Senga, um, he's battled injury since he's been in the league. So, but then again, some make the adjustment, you know. So
Well,
they
and
don't
I
know.
think Glass now too, with his history of injuries, seems like he gets hurt every year. Maybe a less workload will be better for him as well. So that may be a thing we see, Vince, and the 20 game winner might be a thing of the past, you know?
Oh, you
300
see
winners. Yeah, you don't see many of them.
them, yeah, yeah.
You don't see many of them. Um, I got people like when I ask you a few number questions, trivia of some sort. These are just fun for people if you're having a party or doing a trivia contest. These are kind of fun. Um, let's see. Where did I put these? I have them in here, Vince. I swear I do. Where did I put them? I let's see here. Okay.
Oh, I can't find them.
Here you go. These are kind of neat things here. What uniform is been the longest since no changes to the uniform? Which team's uniform has not been changed the longest? It's been the same uniform for the longest period.
I'd say the Yankees.
The Yankees, 1936, I believe, 1936 to present day. And then there's two teams tied for the second longest. Would you care to take a chance on them? 1958, these two teams, the same year, they haven't changed their uniform since.
How about the Dodgers and the Phillies?
It is the Dodgers. Vince, you know everything. And the second one, the Cubs. The Cubs have not changed
Oh,
since 1958, the Tigers since 61, and the Cardinals since 64. That's what it says here. Although maybe there is one uniform we haven't changed because we went to those baby blues in the 80s. And so I don't know about that, but there must be one uniform in particular that didn't change or something like that. The white one, the white one.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah. I
that's
think
it.
they're talking about mostly home uniforms here.
Yeah. All right. Here you go. The two players that played in the major leagues the longest. One, I think you'll get. The other one's going to be tricky, but there's two guys, and I will tell you, they played 27 years in the major leagues. Two guys.
Um,
One with four teams and one with three teams.
okay, that knocks that out. Um, Jamie Moyer, one of them.
Jamie Moyer played 25 years.
Okay.
So he is
Um,
one of the top 10 longest careers. Very
how
good.
about Phil Necro?
Negro's not in the 25 or more club.
Okay. Um,
I will tell you one, two, three, four, five, six of the 10 played where we were fans in our lifetime, and since we've followed baseball. So six of the 10 were in our time period.
yeah, I would have guessed Aaron, but
Well,
he
not
only played for two franchises.
right.
Um,
I tell you what, I'm going to give you one. The one that played in our lifetime played for the Mets, then the Angels, and then the Astros, and finished with the Rangers. Does that give you any hint?
pitcher,
Yes,
Orozco.
Nolan Ryan.
Oh, golly,
That's
yes.
okay, Vince. That's a tough question. Nolan Ryan played 27 years and he was a flamethrower. And that's amazing. They don't make him like Nolan Ryan. And the other one that played 27 years played, 1800s and the early 1900s. Cap Anson played 27 years and he played
Okay.
with three teams. But just going through the list, there's the two 27 years. The two 26-year players are Tommy John and Deacon McGuire, who played for 11 teams. I do not know him.
Wow.
25 years, Ricky Henderson, Jamie Moyer, Charlie Huff, Bobby Wallace, and Eddie Collins were the other players. I had written Ricky Henderson twice. I guess I like him a lot or something like that. So there's 9 players. And the last question I have for you, Vince, this recently, somebody played for their 14th team. They, in their career, they played for 14 teams. They broke a record that was held by a guy who played for 13 teams. All right. Both of these guys played in our lifetimes. So they got moved around a lot with free agency and signing with different teams every year. I will tell you this. The guy that has 14 different teams he's played for has played for both the Cubs and the Cardinals.
Edwin Jackson.
You are the man, Edwin Jackson. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Vince Iver never stops to amaze me. Edwin Jackson, 14 teams, and 2 of them were the Cubs and the Cardinals. He broke the record by I have trouble with names. Octavio Dotel. He played for 13 teams, and he pitched for the Cards. So they're just little fun trivia kind of things we go through, and that's all I got, Vince.
Okay. All right. What's going on in Cardinal news?
Well, I'll make it snappy. Not a whole lot. So I'll just briefly go over this. The Cardinals did make 2 roster moves. They signed a right-handed pitcher, Nick Anderson, to a minor league contract, and he will be invited to spring training. Nick is 34. He's played parts of 5 seasons. He's a bullpen pitcher. He's been with the Marlins, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Kansas City, and he's pitched in 165 games. His career record is 14-7 with a 3.18 ERA. He's pitched 158 innings and struck out 202 batters. So he's got a good strikeout ratio. Hope he makes the team. Good luck. There's going to be a lot of competition out there in that bullpen. And then we signed on the 6th of February, we signed Michael Hellman. That's the guy I think you call the mayonnaise guy, or I heard on the radio somebody say the mayonnaise guy, for cash considerations. And he's 28 and has only played 1 season with Minnesota, and he only come up for a cup of coffee. He played 9 games and only had 10 at-bats and hit 300. So he's just a young prospect. Well, 28, you're not so young anymore, but he's just a guy trying to make the team, and keep an eye on him. So that's the 2 guys we signed. Also, February 22nd is the first spring training game for the Cardinals. It's going to be the St. Louis versus the Marlins, and it's going to be, we share that facility in Jupiter with them, so we play the Marlins a lot. And then March 27th, opening day, me and Brody will be there, the Minnesota Twins, and they named Pablo Lopez as their starter. And the Cardinals haven't named their starter yet, but it's probably Sonny Gray if he's able to.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned before, Victor Scott was on the radio. It was good to hear his voice. And he was, he said he just got overwhelmed coming up to the big leagues last year. He had a good year the year before, and he's worked on some things. I'm excited. So we need him. And that speed always, and it doesn't slump. And we still have Nolan Arenado on the team, and we'll see what happens. There's been a lot of rumors, but he's still a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. Is there anything else? It seems like I had one more thing. No, there's going to be a big fight in center field for that spot. Ciani, Nootbaar, and Victor Scott. And really, right now, none of them have really stood out. I think Nootbaar's had the better season so far, but both of those other guys are very good defensively. So we just need one of them to hit, and you're going to be our center fielder. And I'm kind of thinking it's going to be, I think it's Nootbaar is kind of the front runner right now. So we'll see. But that's Cardinal news.
See, if Victor Scott, if he puts it together, that would be a good dynamic for the Cardinals to have all the speed in center field and that kind of speed on the base paths. If he can get his on base percentage at least 320, a little higher, then that'll play in the major leagues. And with all that speed, he's creates some havoc, especially in today's game where stolen bases are just.
Yeah, and I will say Siani played very good last year. And one thing I like about him, he bunts. He bunted, sacrificed, and got some hits bunting last year, and that's an exciting part of the game. And I really think the Cardinals have nothing to lose. Let's do it. Let's bunt. Let's hit and run. Let's steal some bases this year. Turn them loose. So anyway, it's gonna be fun. All three guys might be on the team. Who knows? I don't know what the future holds right now.
Yeah, I remember growing up, most teams had a good bunter.
Yes.
And there were some years that if the Cubs needed a bunt and he wasn't pitching, it put up Rick Russell and he'd lay down a bunt, or he would go ahead and swing away because he had a pretty good bat.
I'm talking about that he was a great player, and he didn't look like your athlete of the day, but that dude pitched great. He could hit for his size. He ran well. He just was an all-around player, and he had a long career, man.
There's an argument. It's about 4 or 5 years old that I since I've read it. And there's other people who back this that say that one of the biggest snubs in the Hall of Fame is that Russell isn't there because when you look at what he put up as far as WAR and compare that to what he was playing against, he has Hall of Fame numbers. And when I looked at it, I thought, by golly, right, he only won 20 games once. But if he wouldn't have gotten injured there when he went to the Yankees, and he had about a 2 or 3 year period where he just wasn't pitching well. He pitched for the '84 Cubs, didn't do the postseason roster. But in '85, when he went to the Pirates, he put his career back together, and then he finished strong in San Francisco. Um, I don't know. If he made it into the Hall one day, I wouldn't say, oh, that's a terrible thing, because when I looked a little deeper, yeah, he really stacks up there.
You know, when I think of the Cubs and the 10 players that would come to my mind through my lifetime, Rick Russell's one of those 10 players. You know, Sean Dunston, Sandberg, Dawson, but Rick Russell's one of those guys. I absolutely loved him.
Yeah, my baseball coach in high school played college ball with Rick and Paul at Eastern Illinois, I think it was, Western Illinois somewhere. But yeah, so and if you don't know who Paul Russell was, it was Rick's brother. Just take Rick Russell and put a pair of black glasses on him. Yeah, Paul Russell.
Same size and everything. Yeah.
I'm in the bullpen. So as far as the Cubs go, I'll make this quick. We still have the Alex Bregman rumors. So we'll see what happens there. And if that doesn't pan out, there's talk that we're interested in maybe a Justin Turner coming in to back up both third base and first.
Yeah.
And he still had a 350 on base percentage last year, so he's still pretty productive.
Good veteran leader too.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having him on the team. It looks like Imanaga is going to get the start in the Tokyo series against the Dodgers, which I think is only correct. Yeah. Jed said that there are remaining free agents and they're open to those or open to trades. So they haven't closed down shop. And sometimes there's this perception when spring training starts, that's when it's over. It's not when it's over. I mean, there are players still out there. There are trades still to be made. So we'll see. The Cubs did pick up Ryan Brazier from the Dodgers, a good 6th, 7th inning guy. His ERA was a little higher than usual last year, but he was still productive, still a good pitcher. And I do like how we've just stockpiled arms. One thing that is not going to happen this year, we're not going to have someone go down and think, oh my gosh, who do we got? Nobody. And that's kind of what it was last year. So glad to see that. And Javier Assad, pitchers and catchers for the Cubs, they reported Sunday, the 9th, because they have the early series in Japan. So they had to start spring training a little bit early. So pitchers and catchers have been there, and Javier Assad has been shut down with an oblique strain, and we don't know how serious it is yet. I've heard reports that they don't think it's that serious, but hey, man, if you're gonna have an oblique strain, have it at the beginning of spring training. Okay?
That's right.
You know who else has an oblique strain?
Not Jeremy Connor.
Jeremy Connor has an oblique strain.
Oh, no.
Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. Welcome to our final segment before we open baseball cards, because that's the most important thing we do here. We have a panel today, and we're going to talk about the off season. We're going to talk about what our teams did during the off season, talk a little bit about baseball in general during the off season, and we have a couple of gentlemen with us, neither of which are me and JJ. Our gentlemen are Ray Hartman. Ray's been on here a few times. Welcome back, Ray. Always very insightful. And we also have from Louisville, Kentucky, Jim Turner. Jim, this is your second time on here?
No, first.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I've talked about him for a long time.
Maybe that's why I'm thinking. Okay.
I hope there's a second.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how you do. No pressure, man. I want to ask, just this is unrelated to the off season. There are so many reports out that we are going to be in serious trouble after the CBA runs out in 2026, and there may be a work stoppage. We're all old enough to have lived through the last work stoppage. On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a mistake is it going to be to have a work stoppage?
I want
Wow.
to go ahead first.
We're starting the show
That's
off on a
right.
good mood.
I'll go first. I
Sure.
really think it'd be devastating. Right now, baseball, when it last work stoppage, it was very popular, and it's never, I don't think, fully recovered since the last one. And
Was it 94? Is that the one we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
94.
Yeah.
And, of course, the steroid era came in that time period as well. But I don't think we've ever really recovered and been as maybe worldwide it's as popular as ever. But in the United States, it just seems like it's fallen third behind basketball and football. So I think it would be devastating. Now, maybe in the wintertime, when everything shuts down, they can talk and get everything ironed out and start the next season on time and not miss a thing. That'd be cool. I do think some things need to be addressed, like Vince has said many times, a salary floor, and
Yeah.
maybe deferred money. Maybe that's a thing we can address. As Cardinal fans, I don't think we can compete with the Dodgers, even if we
Oh my
had a
gosh.
really good team.
They have more deferred money each season than we have payroll.
Amen.
I mean,
that is true.
Yeah.
Good Lord. So I think it'd be devastating. 8 out of 10, devastating if we miss half a season or something.
I would be right there with you, JJ, an 8 or a 9. Now, if you end up missing, if they were able to solve it and you have most of the season, or the season starts pretty close to on time, then not a huge deal. But I saw a story within the last day or two that says that Major League Baseball had a little more than 12 billion in revenue last season, which if you do the quick math, that's about 400 million on average per team. I know that the haves are on the high end and the have-nots are on the low end. The Marlins and Pirates probably didn't have $400 million of revenue, but when people look at the pool and how much money is involved and what you have to pay to go to a game now, and then if they're basically squabbling over how to divide that pie, I think it would really turn people off. I think it would really impact attendance, at least that season and maybe into subsequent seasons.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about a 7 on it. I'm not quite as high as JJ and Jim there, but it would not be good at all for that to happen. And like JJ said, hopefully throughout the winter they get things figured out and get everything settled before the season starts. That's what I'm hoping happens more than anything.
Yeah, you would think they would.
Yeah,
right. That's what I'm hoping.
I'm up around a 9, and I'll tell you why. We've had two real, in the history of baseball, we've had two really huge problems. The first was the Black Sox scandal, which would have killed baseball, but Babe Ruth came around right after that and made the home run popular and made it fashionable to go to see this behemoth hit. And that saved it. Then we had the work stoppage in 94. And it wasn't until the home run race in 98 that people really came back to baseball. And to JJ's point, he doesn't think it's fully recovered from the last one. We had that little window of popularity with the home run chase, but it was immediately followed by steroid rumors, then allegations, and then proof. And I think that soured a lot of the people who were coming, who weren't necessarily hardcore baseball fans. Like, oh, it's forget it. There's just so much of athletes who are cheating. And I think that kind of squashed that momentum that they had with the home run race. What are they going to do this time around if there's a work stoppage?
Yeah.
Are they going to say, well, we're going to turn a blind eye to steroids and 80 home runs will be the new record or something like that? I don't know what they could do. So I think it would be tremendously devastating. And one of the things that you've got a group of owners who are pushing for a salary cap, and then you've got owners who don't want a salary cap. So you've got some internal issues within the owners.
Yeah.
Players don't want a salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
Players want a salary floor.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to solve it, is to have a salary floor and then get rid of deferred payments. But I don't see baseball ever submitting to a salary cap.
I don't either. That union is very strong. The players' union is very strong. And really, I mean, they make a heck of a living. Look at the paychecks. Now, the guys that just come up for a cup of coffee, I think the minimum's like 740,000 or something.
I think
like
you're
that.
right. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
getting close to $1 million. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, some of these guys, they play 1 year and that's it. And so they put all that work in. It's hard to be there year after year because you got so many guys coming to take your job. It is intense.
Yeah.
But, I do think the game is in a good spot because as I'm a collector and I've always been a collector, and we have so many good young players that it's almost like as a kid, every team at least had one guy, Dale Murphy, or Ryan Sandberg or Lou Brock. You always had somebody you could cheer for, like, that's our guy right there. But right now there's worldwide, Ohtani, I don't know if there's ever been in my lifetime a player as popular. Paul Skeens just came on for 2/3 of a season, and he's hugely popular right now. So anyway, I think the game's in a good spot right now, and I just hope they just don't mess it up right now. And we got some momentum going, we got some momentum. I have a question. Right now we have so many rules that's been coming into the game, and most of them I do like, but there's two rules this year. I don't know if you guys knew, and this is kind of a two-part question. Yeah. They're going to do preseason. Or spring training. Sorry, I had a football brain fart there. Yeah. They're going to have robot umps, I believe, in 11 of the ballparks, and 19 teams will be run into these robot umps. And the way they talk about it, it's not as bad as I originally thought. Only the pitcher, the catcher, or the batter can say, wait a minute, you get two robot ump calls a game, and if you are right, you get to keep it. They're like throwing the flag on the field where they want to replay.
Yeah.
If they're wrong, you lose one. And so that's one of the rules they're going to try out in spring training. They've been using it in the minors. And the other rule, they're thinking about this one. Andrew McCutcheon came up with this idea about second base being protected like home, where you got to give the runner a lane. It's kind of hard to call, but I think the second baseman or shortstop shouldn't be able to drop a knee down and just block the whole plate, because you're going to have injuries and people get hurt. It's hard because the player's got to go where the ball goes. So that's kind of hard call, but I just don't like the idea of where they drop a knee down. So I was going to get you guys' thought on robot umps. What do you think? And the second base being treated more like home plate.
I'll start with that one, JJ. I'll start with the second one first. I think that makes a lot of sense, giving the runners some protection as they're going into second. I know not everyone likes the rule that has done that at home plate, and we no longer have the collisions like we used to have,
Oh, good Lord.
no
Yeah.
more legendary, Pete Rose, Ray Fosse, was it and no more of that at home plate, but it also means a longer career for those catchers who are not getting, plowed over when they're standing still and someone's coming at them at top speed. And it just seems like it makes sense, and it helps with career longevity for the players. I wouldn't have an issue with it. And the robot ump, a question, is that just a ump at home plate calling balls and strikes, or is it more than that? It's just a balls and strikes.
Yeah, a regular ump's there calling balls
Yeah.
and strikes, but if the catcher or the batter or the pitcher disagree, and
Ah,
it's not one of
okay.
these things they go to the
Right.
ump thing, it's
Okay.
immediate. It's supposedly it's going to be immediate, like in tennis,
It
where
should
it's
be.
fair
Yeah.
or foul, and then the game continues. So it wouldn't lose a lot of momentum. That's the
Hmm.
way I understand it. Vince, is that what you understand too?
Yeah, not this past season, the season before. Max and I went to an Iowa Cubs game, and they have that system, and it's seamless. You will see on the scoreboard batter challenge, and within 5 seconds, upheld or changed, and the
Yeah.
game just moves on. It works out
Sounds
very,
good.
very seamless.
Yeah.
And because I had seen it on TV because I watched the minor league games, but I really hadn't paid much attention to it because they really don't call attention to it unless there's that last pitch that was a ball, they've changed it to a strike, and they just keep going. But to see it live and to kind of experience how seamless it worked, I thought, I can live with this.
Yeah, it sounds good. I mean, the pitch clock has shaved so much time off of games that if that added a few seconds, it's like, hey, it's worth it to, if there's because there are some really bad calls on balls and strikes sometimes, and hey, let's challenge them. So I'm in.
All right, Ray, what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, Angel Hernandez did it for me. He I'm automatically for the robot umps after watching that guy call games. It's I would get frustrated. Well, you know me, I don't really watch games. I listen to them on the radio, but when I go back through and watch the highlights and I watch some of the calls that Hernandez made, I'm like, oh wow, that just changed everything so much. So I'm for the robot ump, not a big deal. Like Vince said, it don't take much time to do. I've watched it in the college games and it goes pretty fast. So
Okay.
and for the second base role, I'm okay with that. I guess it's going to be there's going to be some tough calls there, though. I think it's going to be close on some occasions, and there might be some disputes with that. But if it's helping people not get hurt, I'm all about that.
Hey, I'll tell you, just you steal second base, the guy drops his leg down instead of diving in head first, you go in spikes first, he'll never do it again.
Right?
Lou Brock would go in there hard and bounce up. He hit the base so hard
Yeah.
that they wouldn't be getting in his way.
I'm not a fan of the head first slide
Yeah.
because I'm a crotchety old man, but uh, the head first slide into second, even if players jam fingers in the base, they
Even with their oven mitts on these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you slide feet first and you're just a decent base runner, you slide into the base, you use the base as a fulcrum to pop right up. If the balls went out in center, you're on third base. It's the best way to slide, but it's not the prettiest thing. It's not the fabulous looking play that
Right.
diving like Pete Rose would do. So now everybody dives. And I don't remember the last time, and maybe I just don't pay attention, I've seen a runner go into second base feet first.
Well, Otani, watch him when he steals. He's feet first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
kind of hurt his arm in the World Series. He used it like a fulcrum or something, and I thought he pulled his shoulder. I thought, oh no, did he get hurt? Thank God he didn't. But man,
he's a feet first slider a lot, and he stole 50 bases. So
yeah, you don't see it as much though as you used to. I remember Tim Raines, I think, was the first one that it seemed like every base he went to, even first, sometimes he'd slide head first all the way around the bases. Yeah.
I tried sliding head first when I was about 14 or 15.
Ooh.
It was an embarrassing belly flop when I was a kid. Maybe that's why I'm so feet first.
Yeah.
Angers me
Yeah,
that I belly
I've
flop.
tried it a few times, and it's not as easy as the pros make it look. It's hard to pull off and easy to mess yourself up real quick too.
Yeah. A couple years ago, I think it was Dansby slid into home, and without putting his arms on the ground, he just slid into home and just like almost floated right back up. It was so wow, it's incredible. It's like watching a wrestling match when they do the little thing when they're on their back and flip onto their feet.
Oh
Shawn
yeah,
Michaels.
Yeah, I can't do that either. So,
No, I've tried. I don't even budge.
uh, well, gentlemen, let's go around. What do you think about your the St. Louis Cardinals off season?
I'll
Well,
start off, I guess, if
okay,
you want me
start that one
to.
right. Yeah.
It's been stagnant for the Cardinals, not really much and nothing, but I kind of expected that. I'm wearing a Boston hat because I think that's where on Arenado's going to go. I keep hearing it and I keep hearing
Oh,
it.
right.
So whether they do it now, but I did hear he reported the spring training, so at the Cardinals facility. So we'll see. I don't know why they're dragging their feet on that trade. I'm not for sure if they're wanting to restructure and do what they say they're going to do, but we'll see. But yeah, stagnant, I would say, is the word the Cardinals have been this winter, basically.
The management started the off season by talking about, and I guess there's been some different words. The one that seems to work the best is reset, not rebuilding or restructuring, but just, trying to give some of the younger players more time. And that's, boy, if Arenado could be traded, then we can slot Gorman in and play the whole season at third base. And I think we need that. I hate to go into a season where I think we're just not going to be competitive, but I'm okay to have a year where they're just like, hey, we want to try some things. We want to give some guys more time who wouldn't otherwise get it. I can live with that. And knowing that we have a new guy coming in who's working on restructuring our minor league organization, Chaim Bloom this season, and then he'll take over as GM the following season. Knowing that there's a reason for this season to lay the groundwork for later seasons. Well, you went through it, Vincent, when the Cubs, like many teams, tanked, so to speak, over a period of seasons to try to, sort of start from scratch, knowing that they were going to rebuild something better. And of course, in the Cubs case, it worked out great. That the Cardinals aren't doing that. But they are, as they've said, resetting. And hey, I'm okay going into the season knowing that we're likely not gonna be that competitive. I was looking at some of the pregame or the preseason predictions on wins for the year, and the two main outfits that do that, Pacoda and Fangraphs. I mean, Fangraphs says the Cubs are going to win 84 games, the Brewers are going to win 81, and the Cardinals, Pirates, and Reds are all going to win 78. I mean, that's 6 games from top to bottom. The Pacoda says the Cubs are going to win the division by 10 games. So they say it's more like 91. And given the changes the Cubs have made in the offseason and given the payroll they have, which is going to be about 50% higher than the Cardinals, it's the Cubs division to lose this year. And yeah, I mean, if we could sneak in as the last wild card, that would be great. But I don't have high expectations. But that said, I'm okay with knowing this is a season to build for the future. So that's how I would put it, I guess.
I've been a Cardinal fan. I'm the old guy since 1974. I kind of
Me too. 74.
74 was the
Yeah.
year I found the baseball cards and where the season, how the season worked, and just I knew what baseball was, but I didn't know the professional baseball. And there's been 2 stretches where the Cardinals really weren't even have a shot. And
Yeah.
70s was one of them.
Late 70s, yeah.
And what it was it wasn't because we didn't have good players or we weren't good. It's just the teams at the top. We couldn't compete with the Dodgers, the Reds, the Phillies, and the Pirates. And that's kind of how part of this is, even if everything went as good as we could expect, I just don't think we're anywhere close to the Dodgers and the Braves and the Mets and the Phillies. There's like a hierarchy that they're just, I think on our best day, it'd be rough. 5-game series. Could we get one, maybe two, maybe?
Yeah.
I'd be proud of that. And then the other part that we went through was the 90s with Joe Torre, and we brought all these young guys up, which was Gilkey and Langford and Pagnazzi and Zeal, and Tewksbury was our ace. We did have Lee Smith in the bullpen. But in those years, it's just we weren't that good, and the Brewery really didn't seem to care because Augie had passed.
It didn't. Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me of half of that. But where I like that because we've got a log jam of players, and we've made some mistakes in some of the trades just to kind of fill in spots here and there with some veterans and some good players. But I mean, a Rosarina, Alcantara, Zach Gallen. Yeah, there's so many that just slipped through. So we have a log jam with even more young players coming, and I want to see what we got. And like you said, Gorman at third and Mason Wynn. Oh, that's my boy right there. I love him. And Seguis, I'm excited about this Thomas Seguis kid we got from Montgomery. He's a utility player like a Ben Zobrist, and he's only came up at the end of last year. Victor Scott was talking today how he was just overwhelmed, but that experience and going down and working and know he had to put in the work, I think he could, that center field, the Newbar and Ciani and them all fight for that spot. And I know, the Cub catcher that we're going to be playing, Contreras will play first. Let's see what he's got. Burleson. So, and then we got some young pitchers coming, Quinn and Hence. I'm so excited about those guys. So right now, McCreevy, Plante, I do agree. It's the Cubs division. They're the cream of the crop right now. Enjoy it while you can, Vince. I really think fourth place, but if we can be competitive, because 2 years ago, we didn't even play competitive games. We would just get smoked. And last year, we were a competitive team, and I enjoyed the season. And, we were back up over 500 with the Cubs. But the reason I'm picking the Cubs, too, I'm going to throw this little caveat in there. You've had these young guys, and they've had 2 or 3 years, some of them, with some experience. And I'm jinxing you. That's what I'm doing right now, Vince.
We're all in on the Cubs, Vince.
Yeah, we're all in on the Cubs. I'm mortgaging the house, putting on the Cubs. But I just think right now the chemistry is perfect. And Kyle Tucker, that's the icing on the cake right there. Yeah. That's a top 10 player right there. So to answer your question, I'm happy. Things could be better, but I like the direction we're moving in.
Yeah, right there with you, JJ.
Okay. First of all, the Brewers are going to win the division. For some reason, God likes the Brewers. That makes sense every year. There they are. I'm thinking they're going to fall into the second division this year. They're going to fall, and they never do. So God likes the Brewers. So that puts this to rest, okay? There are a few things. The Cubs have had a different philosophy than the Cardinals. And we have had the highs of the 2003 season, and then we dipped a bit. Then we had the highs of the 7 and 8 season, 07-08 season. We made the playoffs. Then we had that lull where we were really bad. And then in 2015, and then we had the run, then we traded off and a couple of years ago, and now we're on the ascension again. There's a few things I appreciate. I liked how the Cardinals said, this is what we're going to do. As a Cub fan, when Theo took over in 2014 and he said, this is what we're going to do, we're going to change the culture by rebuilding this. Okay, as long as you're honest with me, we're good. Yeah. And I was thinking 2 or 3 years. No, the next year we win 96, 97 games and go to the NLCS. So just because you're rebuilding this year does not mean that it's going to be a few years in the making, because if the talent's there, it's going to happen. And I do believe the Cardinals have some talented people. And I've said on this before, I just think Mason Wynn is a special player. And I wanted to see Gorman at third base to see what he could do at his natural position, maybe cut down on the strikeouts a little bit, hit a few more out. Victor Scott the third, the second or third, which one is he? Second. Victor Scott the third isn't probably born yet, but Victor Scott the second. I like fast guys who can run down
Yeah.
anything in center field. So I'm excited about that.
Well, you got one in Chicago, PCA. That kid,
Yeah.
woo!
He can fly.
That's
So
what the Cardinals need to do. We got to steal. I tell you what, since nobody's putting much on us, hit and run. Go for it. Whitey ball. Go for it. It'll be exciting anyway. You know, if you can run it faster than Yachty, run it. Go.
then I can steal bases. I'm faster than Yachty. But anyway, I my only issue is going to the games last year, watching attendance wane. When your franchise isn't used to a reset, the people got apathetic pretty quick. Just a couple years after a playoff appearance, then you had the disaster. Then last year was a little better, but I mean, I use this term sometimes. The Cardinal fans are spoiled, and there's a lot of people that go to the ballpark that are fans as long as they're winning.
Yeah.
And if they're not winning, like last year, it was sad to go to the ballpark and see the vendors that were shut down.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, wow. Kathy and I went to a game in September, and we spent $2 on bleacher tickets.
Wow.
I mean, that's what they were doing. So, hey, let's go to the Cardinal game, you know. You know, we didn't have to mortgage the house, you know.
Yeah.
Stole our kids' allowance. But I think that you're moving in the right direction, and I do think there was some kind of a cultural switch with the Cardinals that was most visible when Schilt got fired. There's something going on there, so I am glad that they're in a transition to a new regime, and I hope that irons things out, because I really like it when the Cardinals are competitive. It's fun around St. Louis. It makes the games more compelling when we're both competitive.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So I'm not one of these people who think I hope they will lose 110 games. No, 110 games. You know, as much as it drives me crazy, I want to see competitive baseball. You know, let's go.
Well, your team did a lot more in the offseason than ours, that's for sure. Ours just let people walk away. And so, in fact, I saw something the other day that said the Cardinals and the Marlins are the only two of the 30 major league teams that did not sign a single major league free agent during the offseason. And the average team signed 5 free agents. There were about 150 free agents signed, and so about 5 a team. But the Cardinals and the Marlins, the spring training neighbors in Jupiter, no signings of any free agents. So they're clearly all in on the let's see how the younger guys do, it seems.
Well, I'm going to ask, and we're going to archive this so we can look at the end of the season. But pick 1st through 5th in our division, and and pick one team and tell me why you think they're going to end up in whichever spot you put them in.
I'll go first.
Sure.
Brewers, because God likes the Brewers.
Okay.
Cubs, Reds, Cardinals, Pirates.
Oh, I like that. All right. All right. Jim, what do you think?
I'll go. I think it'll be the Cubs. I think the Brewers, the Cardinals might duke it out for second place, but I think the Brewers will finish second, and the Cardinals third, and the Pirates and the Reds. It's tough there. I'll take the Pirates fourth. No, I'll take the Reds fourth and the Pirates fifth. The Reds have done a little more. So that's the order. The Cubs, the Brewers, the Cardinals, the Reds, and the Pirates.
All right. Ray, what do you think?
I'm on Jim's side there. I like that. I'm pretty sure the Cubs got this, unless like they totally melt down. That's the only reason they shouldn't win the division. Milwaukee's going to be right on their tail probably the whole way, or lead the whole way, and Cubs come in at the end and take it. Cardinals, I think we're right in the middle, and I'm going to go the Pirates over the Reds, though. The Pirates are not the worst team in our division, I don't think.
Well, I'm good. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's all I had. Do your predictions. Go ahead and do yours.
Well, I'm going to say Cubs, because I think they've been building to something really special. I don't know how they're going to do in the playoffs. If you win, whoever wins our division, if they're the only team in the playoffs, I'm going to be pulling for that team. I really am. I hope you guys
Oh
do because
yeah.
we haven't done good. Our division has not done good in the
Yeah.
playoffs of late, anyway. So I'm going Cubs and the Brewers. I think they just lost too much. They've got a lot
They
of young
have.
players, and
Yeah.
when you got young players, I think the Brewers are kind of where the Cubs they're hitting was maybe 2 years ago, where these young guys, Sal Frelick and Mitchell in the outfield. Jackson Churios had a good season, but as the year went on, he got better and better. But their bullpen, Devin Williams, they've got a lot of good bullpen guys, but that's a big loss, although he only played like a third of the season with them. But I just think, and of course, Adames, he was like the captain of that team, and now he's out in San Francisco. I
Right.
think that's a big loss to go through. So
Yeah.
I see them kind of falling more down second, but not that close. And then third place, man, this is a tough one because I think all three of us, each team is flawed. Down here, we're all got some flaws, but I just think the Pirates pitching. I really think
Yeah.
they've got a
That's
good
good.
pitching staff, and I don't think the Reds have a very good bullpen. They
Mm.
got a guy at the end, but the rest of the guys in the middle, I'm not big on. And if they get any injuries, they're in trouble. So I'm going to go Pirates, Cardinals, and then the Reds in last myself.
Could be right.
And that's what I'm picking.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't see a terrible team in this division. I see the Pirates and Reds as ascending. And I'll be serious now. The Cardinals and the Brewers are kind of descending, but they're not bottoming out. They're not
Right. Right.
terrible teams, and the Cubs are on the ascension. So I thought last year the division was stronger than people thought it was going to be, and I think that's going to happen again this year. There's probably not going to be a 94, 95 win team, but I think it's going to be a pretty strong division. There's anytime you're going to go into Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Milwaukee, or Chicago, it's going to be we're going to have to work at this, especially Skeens pitching,
Yeah.
Hunter Green pitching. I mean, it's there's not an easy team. We don't have a Marlins. We don't have a White Sox. So, and I'll address a few things with the Cubs offseason. I'm very happy with what they did. Of course, the big thing, Kyle Tucker,
Yeah.
top 5 player in Major League Baseball. That really lengthens our lineup. It allows Seiya to be a DH, and Seiya and Tucker were both top 10 right fielders last year, according to the Shredder. So
Yeah, the Shredder.
so we've got some offense that should pick up. Swanson had surgery, so he's allegedly going to be healthy. Nico will probably miss a little bit of time, maybe the first 10, 15 games because of the arm surgery. I like Michael Busch at first base. The wild card for me with the Cubs, and I like Amaya catcher, the wild card for me with the Cubs is third base. Matt Shaw does not have a major league at bat, and it drives me bananas when everybody's saying Matt Shaw's our third baseman. The guy didn't play much third base in the minors, and when he did play it, he wasn't that good at it. And that's why we keep hearing the Bregman rumors. That way, Bregman would play third, Shaw's a natural second baseman, and Nico's something you can trade. Right now, Nico doesn't have a whole lot of trade value because of the injured arm, and he's not a power hitter. He's glove first contact hitter. So, but what excites me about the Cubs is that they went out and they have so many arms coming in, bullpen, starters. There's not going to be a situation where it's like, oh gosh, the starters went down. Who's next? Well, there's a guy pitching in Double-A. Let's see what he can do. We have a lot of major league arms with a lot of major league experience, and we're still allegedly, last I checked, talking to the Padres and trying to put together a deal for Dylan Cease. And we do have the commodities in the minor league that other teams want. So I'm happy with the offseason. And I'm happy with both teams with the offseason. It's just they're in different places doing different things right now. But I'll do the same thing that I do every year. I'll go to Busch Stadium, I'll watch some Cardinal games, and I'll hope they win unless they're playing the Cubs.
Amen. All right.
All
You're a
right,
good
I'll
Cub
take
fan.
it.
Yeah.
We'll need all we can get of that. So, yeah.
Oh, JJ, go ahead and ask your next question.
All right. I like this is just kind of a how do you feel kind of question. Injuries are a big part of the game. And sometimes it's just who can stay the healthiest. In y'all's estimation, you can tell from Arkansas, y'all's estimation. What out of the 5 teams, which guy on each team would be devastating loss to each team? I'll let you think about it for a minute. Since I kind of came up with the question, I'll just kind of hit it quick. For the Cardinals, I truly think the one player, if he got hurt, would hurt the team is Sonny Gray. And my reasoning for this is Sonny's the ace. If he got hurt, now Eflin would have to move up, and he's got young guys that hopefully fill in. Now they got to move up, and it kind of would mess up the whole rotation. So with the Cardinals, I think it's Sonny Gray. Cubs, I can't decide. I guess Tucker. You got so much hope and everything on him. And if he got hurt, I don't think you'd be devastated because you can put the right fielder back out there you had before, move him back from DH or wherever he was going to play. So I don't think it would be as devastating. I don't think you have you got so many good pitchers. I don't think that's it. Or maybe your bullpen stopper. Maybe that would be the big loss. But I don't know. With the Brewers, I have to say probably Contreras. Is it William Contreras, their catcher? Because I think he's kind of the captain of the team now. He's loved. He's the face of the team. Reds, Ella De La Cruz, because I think the fans come out to Cincinnati to see him play. They've got several good arms. They got Diaz in the bullpen. That would be rough. But I think Ella De La Cruz is the guy, and it seems like they build around him on that team. And that leaves the Pirates. And, of course, I'll just say he's young, but I'm going to go Paul Skeens because, he's the golden boy. And then you don't get the gymnast coming to the games either, So that's my hokey pokey list there. But there's some players, I just hope they stay healthy for the sake of the team, So what are y'all thinking on that?
Well, for the Cardinals, I would actually go with, and I know we have other position players who could move in, but I would go with Mason Wynn just because of how demoralizing it would be. I mean, I think he's our best player. We have a few candidates for best player, but he's so exciting. He seems like a guy who's going to play in several All-Star games in his career. And in a season when we're wanting the young guys to be out on the field every day, to have kind of the star of the stars of the younger players to get injured and lose him, I would hate it. So I'll probably throw Win out. For the Brewers, I think earlier mentioned Churio. He's another young, exciting kind of talent. And I think given the players that the Brewers have lost, if they were to lose him, that could just really, again, be like a demoralizing loss to the Brewers. I'm looking at some of the rosters right now. For the Cubs, I mean, gosh, there's lots of players they would hate to lose. I mean, with Tucker coming in, I mean, sure. I mean, if something happened and all of a sudden they're all excited about him joining the team and then he's out for the season, that would be brutal. The guy who's the Cardinal killer in that lineup, and you'll probably back me up on this, is Hap. I mean, I have to say, I don't know if I would mind him getting injured. That might not be a bad thing. He kills the Cardinals. I mean, he's a pretty good hitter, but against the Cardinals, he's Superman. And so I think Tucker would be right up there, but I think at the top of the lineup, losing somebody like Hap would be really a huge setback for the Cubs. I mean, how can you argue with the Pirates? I mean, they've got one major league star, and that's their best pitcher. You've already talked about him, JJ. Although, you'd hate to see him lose Tommy Pham this year.
Oh, that's right.
In case you weren't aware, Tommy Pham is slotted to be the starting right fielder for the.
He's going to bring some fire to the team.
He will.
Don't cheat him in fantasy football.
He will bring some fire. And
that means the Pirates are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, go to the World Series, right?
Playoffs.
He went to 2 World Series in a row there, right?
Yeah.
And no, he's a winner. I like Tommy Pham. I thought he came
Huge
in
fan.
and made some there was that grand slam he hit for the Cardinals last year, like in his or one of his
First,
early games, and
yeah.
it was so exciting. In first or second game, yeah. And for the Reds, I got to go with JJ there. De La Cruz, he's just like that's a guy you go pay to see play.
Must watch
And
baseball.
living here in Louisville, we're only 90 miles up to the Great American Ballpark, and so I try to get up there every season. And yeah, he's the person I want to see play on the
Oh,
Reds.
me
Yeah.
too.
So
Very
those are
good.
I guess that'll be my list.
All right.
Mine are real close to you guys. I kind of agree with Jim for the Brewers. That Jackson Churio guy, for him to go down, that would be bad for that team. I really do think. I think they would be okay, but it's going to hurt them if that happens. With the Cubs, boy, I hate to say it, Tucker or even Armstrong going down would be
Yeah.
horrible for that team, or one of those new middle. Vince, I don't remember his name, but who's the middle reliever you guys just got that's excellent?
Brazier from the
Yeah,
Dodgers. Yeah.
yeah. I think him going down too would kind of be a chink in the armor there, but we'll see. Cardinals, I Mason Wynn, of course, him going down would be awful for us. In Sonny Gray, like JJ said, that's
Yeah.
another one I'd hate to see go out for the season. That would change the whole dynamics of our season for sure. Skeens, of course, for the Pirates. That guy's unbelievable. Except for when he comes to St. Louis, we got his
Yeah.
number,
He
right,
played
JJ?
tough.
They're tough games. Very tough
Yeah.
games.
Some
That's
good
the
games.
only place he loses is when he comes to St. Louis, but everywhere else he's a winner.
We beat him
And
twice last year, right? Didn't we win
do
2 games against him?
Yeah,
The
he only
Cardinals
lost 3
won.
games, and 2 were to the
Yeah.
two,
Cardinals.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then of course the Reds that All Star they got De La Cruz. He's
Oh, yeah.
I just love watching the guy. He's so amazing. He's a great player, and for him to go down, that might be the end of their season
That'd be
too.
rough for him.
Yeah.
It would be rough.
I'll go different with the Cubs because I think this is why the Cubs didn't make the playoffs last year. If Justin Steele is injured again, he is the anchor of our pitching staff.
Mm.
And even though Imanaga had a great season,
Yeah.
um, Justin Steele is a team leader. And when he went down, we really went into a funk. He went down the very
Interesting.
first game.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't himself again until the second half when he found it again. So I'll say Steele with the Cubs because I feel like if we do lose one of our outfielders, Say is just going to move into the outfield, and we will figure a way. And we do have some hitters in the minors. We have Owen Casey, we have Kevin Alcantara, we have Moises Ballesteros. Ballesteros could probably, I mean, everybody says as bad as Major League Ready. He could come up in DH. So I think our offense we would find a way, but if we lose Steele, I think that kind of puts us in a directionless place. Unless we pick up Dylan Cease, and then we've got a couple
Oh
of
man.
Yeah.
leaders that
It could
way.
happen.
For the Cardinals, I've got to agree. If Mason Wynn goes down, I think that's going to be devastating for them. Young, talented, with all the leadership abilities. That's the kind of player you build a franchise around.
Mhm.
That's the kind of player you market, and I'm sure he means a lot to his teammates too. So I think that would be devastating. For the Brewers, I'm going to go with JJ William Contreras
Yeah.
because of the position on the field he plays catcher. He's a Contreras, which means he's naturally a vocal leader. So I think that would be a problem for the Brewers. And with the Reds and the Pirates, I believe that you can have a mediocre team and a really good pitching staff, and you can make some noise.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say if the Reds lose Hunter Green,
Mm.
they're
Yeah.
they're toast, and if the Pirates lose Skeens, they're toast.
Very good.
Good
Very
points.
good. I like y'all's
Yeah.
the way y'all think. That was good.
Okay, my final question is this. How many games will you go to this year?
Major league games?
Major league games we
Okay.
go to this year. JJ, get your toes out.
I'm going to go to 5. I'm going 2 in Cleveland. I'm going to try to go out to Kansas City, and I'll at least hit 2, maybe 3 in St. Louis. That's that. I pick a different stadium every year. It's Milwaukee the last 2 years. We love
It
going to
looks like
Milwaukee.
you had a great time on those trips.
Oh,
Yeah.
we take the tour.
Yeah.
And going to Cleveland, I got a lot of neat stuff. We're going to the old ballpark. They still have the area set up from the 50s, and they played
wow.
before. We're going to Little Italy, where they have a statue of Rocky Calavito in the Little Italy part, and then the ballpark. And we're going to take a tour of the ballpark too. So I've never been to Cleveland. It's going to be great. And my wife puts up with me. So in October, I'm taking a cruise with her just to, say, hey, I'm a good guy.
Good plan.
Yeah. So 6 probably. And my son got us opening day tickets for the Twins and Cardinals.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, them kids are paying off now.
That'll be fun for Gray to pitch against his old team. I assume it'll be Gray.
Yeah. And Lopez for the Twins. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun. It'll be good. So I'm sorry. I'm windy. I just went on and on there. But I'm going to probably 6 this year.
I'm going to go to 5, I think, JJ. I'm going to try to do a Cardinal Dodger game if tickets are available.
Yeah,
That's
Ohtani. Yeah.
I just want to see that team.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable on paper. It's unbelievable just hearing about it. Any day to watch them guys is probably going to be amazing. So I want to see a Cardinal Dodger game. I am going to go to Kansas City and see a KC Yankee game with my cousin.
Nice.
Classic.
We're gonna do that, and so I'll probably do 2 in Kansas City, 3 or 4 here in St. Louis. So probably closer to 3. So probably 5 total.
All right. Very good, man.
Yeah. Probably in that range for me too, 5 or 6, if you count spring training.
You're going down?
Yes, in 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Florida, right? Not Arizona.
Florida. Yep.
All right.
Our old friend JJ Eric Vreeland will be joining me.
Fantastic. Tell him I said hi, and I hope
I
you guys
will,
have
yeah.
a blast.
Yeah. So gonna go to 3 games in 3 days, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's the Cardinals will play of course the Marlins, one of them, since they share the stadium
Of
there.
course.
And then the Astros and the Nationals share a stadium in West
Yes.
Palm Beach, and they play a lot of games against the Cardinals. So those are the 3 teams we'll see against the Cardinals. I'll go up to a Reds game sometime. Maybe, yeah. I like your idea, Ray. I'll try to find a Reds Dodgers game too.
Yeah.
And hopefully get to go to a game in St. Louis, and then maybe one game somewhere else. Who knows? But if I did that, that would be 6. So 5 or 6, yeah.
And there you go, man. All right. I like your style.
Yeah, I think I'll do about that. I know we'll probably do 2 or 3 at Busch this year. And then we do know that we're going to visit Max, who's living in Omaha now, and we're going to go see one of the Omaha Royals games.
Yeah.
And then on the way back, we haven't told Max this yet, but on the way back, go see a day game in Kansas City on a Saturday.
Great.
That way Max can drive down to Kansas City and drive back, and then we can drive home. So looking to do something in Kansas City. I don't know if I'll make it to Chicago this year. I probably need to take Kathy to a Cub game this year, being she hasn't one for a few years.
Do you try to go to Cubs games in St. Louis when they come in?
It doesn't. I'm more. I like to watch the games on TV more, and it doesn't bother me to go to Cardinal Cub games, wear my Cubs stuff, and hear all of the stuff. Blah blah blah. But the games are so crowded. The Cardinal Cubs games are so crowded, and I get on the Metrolink and it's rocking back and forth, and sometimes I'm watching this game at home. So I haven't been to a Cardinal Cub game in St. Louis for probably about 10 years now. So and JJ and I have talked about going to a Royals game too. So we may.
Yeah.
And Peoria because JJ Reinhold's going to be playing up there at the beginning of the year, and I'd like to. Me and Vince did a comedy club up there, and the ballpark looks great. It's right next to the Richard Pryor statue.
Is that the Class A or?
Yes, that's
okay.
they're the Chiefs,
the
Peoria
Chiefs,
with a little dog
yeah.
with a fire helmet on.
Springfield's AA, right? And then
yes,
course,
I've been down there the last 2 years, and then Memphis is AAA for the Cardinals. Right. Yeah, I've never been to Memphis. I've been to Memphis for other things, but not to a Redbirds game or anything.
We are going to Memphis this summer to see a game because my daughter is going to school at University of Memphis, so we're gonna go there and see a AAA game for the Cardinals. So, yeah.
Well, Vince, I'm out of questions. I had 3 good questions. I thought we just got going, man. I'm so sorry. That's all I got.
I had 3 bad ones, so
no,
they were all good.
Well,
I got one for you guys. I got a question for everybody.
Yeah.
How many wins are the Dodgers going to get this year?
As many as they want. 102. Yeah. I'm going to say 102. 102 and 60.
I'll go 108.
108. Yeah, 2/3 of their games they're going to win.
Oh, very good.
108.
Yep, right. I like 104.
Okay, I'm the low guy on this one.
Okay, how many are the White Sox going to win? I've got 7.
No, I think they're going to be better. Like, yeah.
Can't be worse.
The Cleveland Spiders are safe.
How many did they win last year? I mean, did they win 50 games? No, 40. Yeah, it was like they lost 120 or something.
Right. I'm going to say 52 wins.
We had a White Sox fan on here.
Oh, he was impressed.
You could just feel the depression flowing out of his pores. I felt bad. I thought, oh man, maybe I should have asked you to be on.
I want to give him a hug.
Yeah. It was so sad. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for the invite.
Ray, Jim, thank y'all so much. It was great talking with you.
I do want to once again thank Ray and Jim for joining us. Very insightful. Always fun to have a round table. So, JJ, I have score 1989.
1989. Man, back to the big hair bands. Well, I'm a little closer to this time, but the Tops, and it is baseball, not football. Top Stadium Club, 1993. Very known for its photography.
Yes,
some very nice photography in these cards. Would you like to go first, Vince? And I'm going to guess 2 Hall of Fame.
Okay, that's good. And I do like the scores because they have good photography too. So
they do.
We'll have some good looking cards here. I'll say 2 Hall of Famers also.
All right.
Oh, the pride of Centralia, Illinois, former Cardinal, former Cub, former Twin, former Royal, former Angel, Gary Gaetti.
Didn't they call him the Rat or something like that? That dude was always grabbing the ball and throwing it over there.
See, I do like the back of the cards too.
Oh, yeah, I like that picture.
Yeah.
Very good, Mr. Gaetti.
Former Dodger, and I think it was an Oriole too, wasn't it? Yeah, Oriole Dodger, kind of a 4th outfielder. John Shelby played on that 88 Dodgers team.
Yeah. I remember him as an Oriole as well. Good player.
Center fielder for the Astros, Gerald Young.
Oh, yeah, fast. Very fast player.
This guy should have been a Hall of Famer, but he chose the needle route. I don't like this guy anyway. Barry Bonds.
Yeah. Man, he just distorted every record there was for power.
Hologram, a year to remember, 1960. It says Ted leaves with a bang. That could be Ted Williams' final at bat when he hit a home run.
Oh,
but I would never know because I can't read anything that small.
They gave him a standing ovation. He didn't come back out, and the next day the newspaper said something about gods do not answer letters or something like that. You know, he didn't acknowledge the fans. He just hit the home run and ran in the dugout.
Uh, Former Expo. Um, did he pitch for the Cardinals, Brent Smith?
Yes, he did. Matter of
Yeah,
fact, okay, I have a quick story. Brent Smith came to the Cardinals. I think he only pitched 1 or 2 years. He's from Canada. He's very good friends with Giddy Lee from Rush, who's a huge baseball fan. And Giddy Lee came to spring training one year, and he's the skinniest guy you ever seen, and he's just almost the uniform was just almost falling off him. It was so big, but he was out there shagging pop flies in the outfield. Giddy Lee from Rush.
cool.
Ah,
Outfielder for the Twins, John Moses. There he is, parting the Red Sea.
I don't remember John Moses.
Former Cardinal, former Brave, Ron Gant.
Oh yeah, Ron Kent.
Oh, former White Sox, third baseman Steve Psycho Lyons, the guy who dropped his pants.
And he forgot he was at a ball game or something, and then was like, "Oh my gosh!"
He
Yeah.
dove into first and got dirt down his pants, and he just kind of forgot where he's at. And he pulls down his pants and starts. He was not. He didn't pull his
Right.
everything down to he's a pretty good announcer too.
Yes.
One of the worst names for a pitcher for the Oakland Athletics, Eric Plunk.
Oh yes. It was the guy. He had a nice career.
We have our first Hall of Famer,
Hey, all right.
the lefty for the Braves and the Mets, Tom Glavine.
Great, great player. He almost played hockey. Almost went the hockey route.
Mm-mm. Former Astros pitcher, former Cy Young Award winner, famous for doctoring the ball, Mike Scott.
Yeah, split-fingered fastball. I thought that year Fernando should have got the Cy Young, and Mike Scott threw a no-hitter like the last week of the season, kind of put him over the top.
The clinch, game
Yeah.
or playoff clinching game. Here's a sad story. Former Cub, former Angel, gave up a home run in the 86 playoffs. A few years later, he killed himself. Donnie Moore, just sad.
Yeah, as a fan, these players go through a lot of stress, and there's so much riding on it. The city and the fans and the money, and I think we don't realize how much stressful it is. They just go out and make it look like it's a normal thing. We almost forget how stressful sports are.
Yeah. Left fielder, former All-Star for the Red Sox. Just didn't have a long career, but he was good when he was good. Mike Greenwell.
Yes.
This guy, Oral Hershiser.
The Bulldog.
Yeah, not a Hall of Famer, Hall of Very Good. But one of the best Johnny Carson jokes I heard was the Dodgers have packed Hershiser and Steve Sachs, and they're going to send him to so-and-so, I don't know which team. It was a joke, he said. And I'll say Boston said, and the Red Sox are really happy with their Oral Sachs trade.
Oh, man.
And finally, Athletics right fielder Jose Canseco, who has been to Caledonia, Missouri.
He sure has.
I erroneously said on one of your cards last week you had three guys there, and I said there were three Hall of Famers. One of them was Canseco. I don't know why brain cramped. I know it's not a Hall of Famer.
So. He was a spectacle. There was a time where it was like Bo Jackson, Nolan Ryan, and Canseco was the draws. Everybody would want to come see those players play. I remember those days. Well, Vince, before I started my pack, I found this. I like these postcards. And this is an Allen Ginter, so they make it look old. I'm starting to collect Bobby Witt stuff. Kind of just, keeping that. And this is a Bobby Witt, Allen Ginter postcard. I absolutely love that postcard. And so it's kind of a rare one, too. They put it into these box sets and stuff. And every once in a while, you'll get a giant card of somebody, and that's the Bobby Witt one. So I went ahead and got that. So I'm 93 Stadium Club. How many Hall of Famers, Vince?
3.
Okay, I'm going to go 1. I haven't looked. The first player I have, California Angel, Damon Easley.
Hall of Famer?
No, not a Hall of Famer, but he had a
Gummit?
career. Oh, here's a guy we all know, not a Hall of Famer, but collecting money to this very day, Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah, look at that smile on his face, Vince. He knows payday's coming.
The
Look at that.
original deferred payment right there.
Right there. And he's still getting paid to this day. And there's the back of the card. These are very nice cards.
I
So-
saw him at the airport at the luggage when the Cardinals were there. All the Cardinal players were there, and standing maybe 3 feet from me, getting his luggage, and Bobby Bonilla. So
I'll be
pretty
darned.
cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is a guy who had a nice career. He's with the Minnesota Twins here, Brian Harper. And I've met Brian Harper, and he played for the Cardinals for a brief time.
Yes, he did.
So nice career. That's a good picture of him. I think he had that picture taken at Sears. Went in there for his school pictures or something. Oh, man. Oh, here is a Cub. And this is an action shot. Do you remember the name Rick Wilkins, the catcher?
Oh yeah, Rick Wilkins. Oh,
Yeah, there's
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, the old Astro uniform, and he's blocking he's getting a tag on him, and that guy's out, and his mask is flying right there. How about that? I like that card. Here's a guy. Had a nice career, played with several teams. Bruce Ruffin.
Oh yeah.
Remember old Bruce? Very nice, a good solid pitcher. Okay, they got him turned zigzagging here and there. This was a guy. It's a Seattle Mariner card, and he later became an announcer for him, Mike Blores. And we talked about Freedom Fries. He's the one that gave those French fries their names. So that's him. Let's see who we got here. Oh, another serviceable player, had a nice career. John Dobson from the Red Sox.
Okay.
I like them jerseys.
Hall of Famer?
No, no. Oh, here's an action card. I like these action cards on these stadium clubs. Tony Phillips. He's playing for Detroit right there. Nice. He's
Tony Phillips. What
got
a
the ball.
career.
Yes.
Never made an all-star team.
That's hard to believe. He was a good player.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, I don't know if he played for the Cubs, but here he is with the White Sox. Wilson Alvarez. Was he
Yeah,
a
didn't
Cub?
play with the Cubs.
Never a Cubby. Okay. Got around the league a lot, but had a nice career.
His first game he ever pitched, he gave up a few runs without recording an out. So he went into the second game that he pitched with an ERA of infinity. That second game, he threw a no-hitter.
No way. Second start in the big leagues?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. That's a great trivia question right there. My gosh. This guy had a nice career, and here he is with the Yankees. Bob Wickman, bullpen arm right there.
Good player.
I think a Milwaukee Brewer, too, had a nice career with the Brewers. All right. We only got 3 more to go. New York Yankee, New York Met, Darryl Boston.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Strawberry.
I know. I teased you right there. And there he is calling timeout at second base. Another player that had a nice career, Willie Banks.
Yeah, he pitched for the Cubs.
I see. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
I know he played for several teams. And the last one is a Yankee. And I don't know a lot about this guy, but I remember the name, Andy Stinkowitz.
Yeah, I remember the name just because you'll never forget the name Andy Stinkowitz.
Yeah. Hey, who had a lot of Stinkowitz around here? And that's it.
2 packets, 1 Hall of Famer. JJ, we've got to do better.
We got to do better. But you know what?
Jason Motte.
We had Jason Motte on the show, so that kind of levels everything off right there.
Oh, okay, yeah, I will agree with that. Well, JJ, you have a great week.
You too, sir.
For yourself, and gosh, in about a week and a half, I'll be able to watch some spring training games and
opening day, Japan.
Yes.
Woo! I'm gonna have set my alarm. I'll probably be crabby at work, but man, I'm gonna watch some of them Cubs and Dodgers games. And pull for the Cubs, and that's a God honest truth.
Yeah, I will get up. I'll probably make myself some biscuits and gravy and just sit down and watch the Cubs play the evil Empire. So, all right, well, JJ, you have a good one, okay?
You take care, sir.